welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we've got a beautiful looking puzzle for you called Face Off at Centre Ice by Will Power. And I am told that this puzzle, which has been recommended to us many times, is approachable. And that's quite nice, actually, because some of the puzzles the last few days, I know they've been incredibly difficult, or at least I've found them incredibly difficult. We had the most beautiful Sudoku in the world by Wisteria Falls, which was a nearly 2-hour solve. And then we had Chameleon's sort of mathematical extravaganza involving irrational numbers in the grid. That was also a sort of a greater than 1 hour solve. So this one, if it is approachable, should be a gentle relief after a hard week. And this puzzle has a magic square in its centre, which is well, that reminds me, of course, of the biggest video that we've ever had on Cracking the Cryptic, which was Ard van de Wetering's puzzle called a Sudoku with only 4 given digits. And that had a magic square in the middle, and I think that has just recently popped up over 9 million views. So in the history of this channel, that is a huge, huge thing. I cannot tell you. And must be responsible for an awful lot of our subscribers. Actually, we got an email from YouTube the other day telling us that a lot of people watch the channel, and they watch the channel regularly, but they don't subscribe to the channel. So I was going to make a small appeal. If you are one of those, do consider subscribing. It's completely free to subscribe to a YouTube channel. It just means that you get alerted if any new videos are put up by us, and it teaches the algorithm. This is the most important thing. It teaches the algorithm that people love logic and they love variant Sudoku, which is something that we are very keen on letting the world know. Anyway, we'll read the rules and find out what Will Power has in store for us in a moment or two's time. What else have I got to tell you about? There's a few things, actually. We've got a crossword video on the channel today. I recorded my solve of the Times cryptic crossword, and today's puzzle is one of the 10 hardest puzzles in the last year. So it is a beast, but it is brilliant as well. So do have a look at that if you like cryptic crosswords. Also, over on Patreon, we've just released Mark's solve of the Times Club Monthly Special, which is another brutally hard puzzle. That's definitely worth watching. And tomorrow, we're releasing my solve of TotallyNormalCat's Broken Secrets onto the main channel. It's been a Patreon special for a while, but it's going onto the main channel tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock UK time. And I know a lot of you have been looking forward to that, so check that out. That is a very long video. And if you are a patron, you've got 1 day left to enter the Patreon competition for January. All the fun of the fair. The closing date is tomorrow, so get your answers in quickly. And apart from that, I just have 2 birthdays I'd like to do today. So I'm going to start off with Cameron, whose fiancée Marissa wrote to us and told us that Cameron is turning 28 today. So many happy returns, Cameron. Apparently you're a dedicated viewer, and well, my sister would find this astonishing, but apparently you like my humour. In fact, what I might do is I might print out Marissa's email and hang it on the wall the next time that my sister's coming over, and just allude to it during all conversations and try and teach her a lesson. I still don't think she'd actually believe that you exist, Cameron, but I believe you exist, and I'm very grateful for your the kind words of your fiancé, and I hope you have chocolate cake today. Now, speaking of chocolate cake, this next message is an outrage. It's also Simon's birthday today, not me, but I know it's your birthday, Simon, because your wife Kate wrote to us and told me outrageously that you are having chocolate Guinness cake today, with the correct ratio of icing to cake, which is 1:1. That sounds absolutely spectacular. Mixing up chocolate cake and Guinness. I mean, I don't know why I've never thought of that, but that does sound absolutely brilliant. I wonder if you can send me a picture of it, although that might not be a good idea. But anyway, Simon, it does sound like you're going to have a very good birthday. I'm highly jealous, and I wish you many happy returns. Now, let us turn our attention to Face Off at Centre Ice and see what Will Power has constructed for us. I don't know anything about ice hockey, apart from you can do fighting in it. So I don't know how to interpret the title, but these are the rules of the puzzle. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we've got the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Now, the central 3x3 box of the puzzle forms a magic square, i.e. each 3-cell row, column, and main diagonal of that 3x3 box must sum to the same total. And some of you will already know what that total is. There are secrets that we can avail ourselves of. So what does that mean? Let's try and show you. It means those 3 digits sum up to the same as those 3 digits, sum up to the same as these 3 digits, sum up to the same as these digits, sum up to the same. I'm running out of colours, but you get the idea. Also the diagonals. We should do a diagonal, shouldn't we? Those 3 have to sum to the same. Maybe I could do that one. And maybe I'll do that one as well. So that is literally every single colour there has to add up to the same number. That is what a magic square is. So that is the task. Now, also it says digits in cages sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. So, oh, I wanted to highlight those. Those 6 digits add up to 39. Digits cannot repeat within a cage. So what we can't do, for example, is something like that. Because although these 9s don't seem to break the rules of Sudoku, they are in the same cage, and that is not allowed, so we can't do that. And then we've got cells separated by a white dot must contain consecutive digits. So if this square here was a 2, this square would have to either be 1 or 3 in order to be consecutive with 2. Cells separated by an X must contain digits summing to 10. So if this square was a 2, that would have to be an 8 by maths. And cells separated by a V must contain digits summing to 5. So if that square was a 2, that would have to be a 3. And that is the whole panoply of rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And I think we probably have to immediately avail ourselves, or I can tell you some secrets about magic squares in Sudoku. And well, it's weird. I haven't watched the Ard video for a long time. But I think the last time I watched it, I was surprised at how unrefined my description of the mathematics of magic squares was. But hopefully I can do better this time. So, the way to understand a magic square in Sudoku is to know the secret of Sudoku, which is something I only tell my very favourite people. But if you're watching this video, you're definitely in that part of the Venn diagram. The secret of Sudoku is that any box of a Sudoku, indeed any column, any row, because of the rules of Sudoku, it has to have the digits 1 to 9 once each in it. And if you add those digits, you get 45. So, if we know the whole of this box adds up to 45, but we know by the magic square rule that each row of this box adds up to the same total, then imagine that the red cells add up to X, then the blue cells must add up to X as well, and the purple cells must add up to X as well. In other words, the total for this box can be expressed mathematically as 3 lots of X. And if 3x equals 45, x equals 15. So each row, each column, and each main diagonal of this 3x3 box sums to 15. But we can go much further than that in terms of understanding it. We can actually deduce the value of this digit. And the way to do that, I suppose, is a primitive sort of set theory. So let's talk about that. What I'll do is I will highlight the diagonal. I'll highlight the other diagonal. I'll highlight a column, and I'll highlight, I need a new colour. Let's go purple. There we go. And I'll highlight that row. Now, because of the magic square property that we've just deduced, we know each of these lines individually sums up to 15. But if you look carefully, you can see that by plotting this pattern in the grid, we've got 4 lines, but we've covered every single cell of this box. So you might say, well, doesn't every cell add up to 45? Well, yes, every cell does add up to 45, but the reason that these lines sum up to 60, not 45, is because this central cell is on every line, every one of the 4 lines. So this central cell is counted, if you like, 4 times. So it is accounting otherwise each of these digits is just once, isn't it? But this one, because it's on all 4 lines, counts 4 times. So we know that if each digit counted just once, that would add up to 45. So the fact this counts 4 times, not once, is explaining the difference between the 60, which must be the sum of the 4 different lines, and the 45, which is the total for the box. In other words, 3 lots of this digit has to account for 60 minus 45. Now 60 minus 45 is 15, and therefore 15 divided by 3 equals 5. So if you have this problem again, you can always write 5 into the middle of the magic square. But you can even go further than this by thinking about, well, normally the easiest way to do it is to consider where you put the 9 now in box 5. Now, let's try and put the 9 in the corner and see if that works. And it won't work. And that is because whatever digit you put in the corner of a magic square has to be able to form 3 different versions of 15. Because it's got to be part of that sum, it's got to be part of this sum, and it's got to be part of the diagonal sum. And if we think about the number 9, that implies that every other domino, or these 2 squares, have to add up to 6 in order to get us up to 15. Well, 5 and 1 would work beautifully, that's fine. We could make 6 with a 2 and a 4, for example, that would be fine. But how do we make this last one work? There's no way, because we can't do things like double 3 within a box of Sudoku. That will not work. And there are only basically 2 ways of making 6 with different Sudoku digits, 1, 5 and 2, 4. So you can't put 9 in any of these corners. It won't work. And that's actually really powerful, because once you can't put 9 in a corner, and you have to put 9 in one of these squares, we can ask what the digit that goes opposite the 9 is in the magic square. Imagine this was 9. 9 plus 5 is 14, so that you're going to have a 1 opposite the 9. So we now know that 1 is also in one of these cells. Oh, where's my 5 gone? 5 disappeared. But now let's think about, well, we could do this in one of 2 ways. Let's think about the 1 and what the 1 must be flanked with on either side. So imagine this is the 1. What are these 2 digits going to be? Now they have to add up to 14, obviously, to make the row add up. But they can't use the 9 because the 9 has been hypothecated into the column. And the 9 we know is the other side of the 5. So this has to be an 8-6 pair. That's going to be forced. So we now know, we don't know obviously which of these is 1, but we now know 8 and 6 are going to be in the corners, sort of straddling the 1 wherever that lives. But if you think about the 9 as well, wherever the 9 lives in it, whichever cell the 9 is in, how is its column going to work or its row going to work? That's going to have to be 2 digits that add up to 6 that don't involve a 5. So they're going to have to be 2 and 4. So in fact, you get this weird pattern where the 2's, sorry, let's do it properly. You get all the even digits in the corners of the magic square, and all the odd digits, apart from 5, in these sort of central positions. And that is forced. So apologies to those of you who've seen this before and knew it already. I've taken a few minutes to explain it, but for people who are new to variant Sudoku or indeed magic squares, it's quite strange, isn't it, that you can immediately deduce this amount of information. Now we actually have to do some other things though, don't we? We're going to have to use this somehow to solve the puzzle. So I can see something about this cage straight away. This is a 6-cell sum that adds up to 39. Well, the way to understand this and to realise it's very restricted is to ask what would happen instead if this was a 9-cell cage. What would it then sum to? And we know the answer to that because a 9-cell Sudoku cage cannot contain a repeated digit. So it would contain all of the digits 1 to 9, and we know they add up to 45. So if this was a 9-cell cage, it would add up to 45. So if it's a 6-cell cage without repeated digits, it must be missing 3 digits that add up to 6, the difference between 45 and 39. Now those 3 digits must therefore be 1, 2 and 3. So there is no 1, 2 and 3 in this. The other way of doing that exhaustively would be to think, how can I make 39 in 6 different Sudoku digits? That sounds like quite a high total. And if you added up 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 and 4, you would get 39. So we actually know that this can't be a 1 or a 3 and this can't be a 2 straight away. And then I suppose we can do a bit of magic square offsetting, can't we? If this is 7 or 9, that cannot be opposite 7 or 9 on the magic square. This is going to be a 1 or a 3 now. Oh, that's nearly enough. I can nearly see how to do it there. And if this, what did we knock out of that one? 2. So we can knock 8 out of that one. Right, let's try this one then instead, because this is very similar to the 39 case. In fact, let's just pause and admire Willpower's setting here, because this is beautiful. We've got a 39, a 38, a 37 and a 36 cage. And a nested magic square in the middle. That's really lovely. Okay, anyway, what 3 digits must the 38 cage be missing? Well, it must be missing 3 digits that add up to 7. So it must be missing 1, 2 and 4. So this square is not a 1 and this square is not 2 or 4. So that's a 6 or an 8. Now, if we remember our magic square trickeries that we were working through before, what did we find out about 6 and 8? It straddled the 1, didn't it? So we now know, well, this can't be a 1. So this must be a 1, that must be a 1, that must be a 9, this must be a 6, 8 straddling this, so that must be 6, that must be 8. And now we should be able to just fill the magic square in. 6 plus 5 plus what equals 15? Well, that's going to be a 4, that's going to be a 2. This is going to be a 3, 7 pair, and look. So this has to be 7 to make the maths work, and that has to be 2. And hang on. I've made a mistake there. That must be 3, I think. Yes, I was going to say that doesn't add up. But it does now. So there we go. That is exactly what our magic square looks like. And, right. And this is what I was wondering about with the 36 cage. This is lovely. So this is missing 3 digits that add up to 9. But it's not missing a 1. So the only way of making 3 digits add up to 9, 3 different digits in Sudoku that add up to 9 without using 1 is 2, 3, 4. So these digits must now be 5, 7, 8, 9. Because they're not 1s and 6s. Now what about this one then? So this is a 37 cage. And it's missing 3 digits therefore that add up to 8. But it's not missing a 2. So it's not missing 1, 2 and 5, which is one of the ways of making 8 in 3 cells. It must be missing the other way of making 8 in 3 different Sudoku digits, which is 1, 3 and 4. So these squares are 5, 6, 8 and 9, I think, by that logic. Now hang on. That square has become a 7, therefore, because it has 5, 6, 8 and 9 looking at it. So these digits, we can probably tidy this up, actually. Let's do a bit of Sudoku. Yeah. 5 and 9 are looking at that square. That's got to be 8. Okay, let's fill in this one. So this one was missing 1, 2 and 4, wasn't it? So it's got 5, 6, 7. We've got a lot of very high digits around this. I think that's got to be 5, 6, 7 and 9. And that's another naked single then. That's got to be a 6. Because it sees all the other high digits here. And then this is going to be even bigger. This hasn't got 1, 2 or 3 in it. So that's 5, 6, 7 and 8 this time. So that must be an 8 in the corner of this. And I'm guessing that's a 9 as a result of this sort of the way that these quadruples are flowing round the central box. So the Fistamafel ring then is just replete with high digits. Now, I won't prove this unless it's actually necessary to solve the puzzle. But one thing, and we did this in the number file video that was recently released. That's had something like 800,000 views. But one thing you can know about any Sudoku puzzle is that these squares here, this ring of the central box, those green digits are the identical digits to these that will appear in the 2x2s in the corner. There are 16 green digits and there are 16 cells in orange, and these will be the same digits. And there's the number file video shows the proof of that, but I won't do that unless we need to. But what we could do now, because these digits are all massive, is if we could have used that theory, the Fistmafel ring theory, to write 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 into these 2x2s in the corner. But I won't do that yet unless it proves necessary. I think I'm going to do that first. That's got to be a 2-3 pair because it sees a 1. That digit's not 5. So, okay, you need a low digit on the next domino, by which I mean a 1, 2, 3 or 4, because if you didn't, this would be at least a 5 and a 6, and 5 and 6 don't add up to 10, they're too many. So there needs to be a low digit, and that now looks to me like it's got to be a 4. So this is a 4-6 pair, which tells me this digit is now 7. And I can now see that 6 is helping me, so we can do a little bit of Sudoku. I'm never one to rush to Sudoku when other things will help me. That's a 9. Actually, I probably should in this puzzle. This is not 6 or 8, but hang on, we can get rid of 9 from here as well. So that digit's a naked single, that's a 5. And that does the 5 and the 7, look. Okie dokie, so can we do this one? This can't be 2, 3, so that must be 1, 4. And that means this has got to be 2, 8. And that 2, 8 means that this has got to be 8 and that's got to be 6 by Sudoku. So we've nearly... Yeah, we have done the ring. If I completed the Sudoku. So the central 5 by 5 is now filled. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting actually now. You can almost see the effect of the Fistmafel ring being... Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one because what I'm seeing is in this row, those digits are obviously 1, 2, 3 and 4, aren't they? And in this column, these digits are 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now take a look at box 1. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple, so these digits must be from 5, 6, 7 and 8. And we can actually use the white dot series here to learn more about the puzzle. Because there's a white dot joining each of these together, this is a consecutive sequence. Now, that means that 6 and 7 must live in the middle of that sequence, and 5 and 8 must be at the start. So this is either going to go 5, 6, 7, 8, or 5, 6, 7, 8. One of those things will be true. I can see a couple of things here actually. Right, let's continue. We'll continue labelling our 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruples. And therefore, we can think about this digit, can't we? Because this digit has to be consecutive with a 1, 2, 3 or 4, and yet not be 1, 2, 3 or 4. So I think that's got to be 5. That's got to be 4. We can get rid of a lot of 4-age from the grid. Oh no, I thought I was going to get the 5, but the 5 is in the wrong geometry in box 1. Naughty 5. That's not a 4. Okay. Oh, yes. All right. Look at this box. This box has got 5, 7, 8 and 9 to place, but 3 of the digits need to be consecutive with one another, so we can't put 5 in here because we know 4s and 6s, which are the consecutive digits, live in these cells. So there's no 5 in there, which puts 5 in the corner, which doesn't quite get a song, but it's still welcome. Now, what's the middle digit here then? It's got to be 8, doesn't it? Because it's either going to go 7, 8, 9 or 7, 8, 9 the other way round. So that's great. So that gets me an 8, that gets me a 2. And we can use that probably. Well, we can do exactly the same thing here with this 1, 2, 3, 4. That's got to be a 5 as well. That's done the top of the grid with a 5, 8 pair there. Then that puts 8 in this corner by Sudoku. So these digits are 6 and 9. I was presuming that was going to be resolved, but I can't immediately see. I suppose that's 4. Maybe it's the 4s that will do the work. Let's try and... let's hope that we're going to get something from this. Or is there going to be another... Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It could be that we have to do... It's probably a white dot. Oh, this white dot. Let's use that. That's got to be 6. That's got to be 7. And that will do the bottom of the grid, look, which will do this side. Lovely. That's now a 7. Okay, so this is... Well, we can put 6 in the corner. We can put 9 here. And from there, can we do these? Yes, 6 and 4 can go in. So that's placing 4 in box number 9. I feel like we must be able to get all the 4s now. Is that a foolish thing to think? We can certainly get the 4 in box 6. No, actually we can't get all the 4s. We're left with a little X-swing of 4s in this 2x2. So we're going to need some help with getting rid of that. Okay, so perhaps what we could do... Yeah, that's a naked single, look. So if we look at this row, we've not placed 2, 3 and 9 in it. Well, this can't be 2 or 9, so that's got to be 3, which means this is 1. This is a 2-9 pair, which we can enter straight away. Therefore, that's fixed. Look, we need to put 3 and 7 in here, which we can do. Now that becomes a 2. Takes 2 out. Oops, takes 2 out of those. That takes 2 out of this. There's definitely a 2 in here, which means this square has to be a 3. That's a 2. And this is not 3 anymore. And we might be able to get... Well, can we do the 2, 3? No, we can't do the 2, 3 at the top. So perhaps we look at this column, do we? 1, 2, 7, 9. Yeah, because there's a 2 here and a 7 here. This is a 2, 7 pair, and we can fill those in. So 7 and 2 go in. That's now a 2 in box 7. And this was a 1, 9 pair, wasn't it? Which we can do. So that's, whoopsie, that's 9, that's 1. And these squares have got to be a 4, 8 pair. Fill that in. That's going to unwind our X-wing. And these squares need a 3 in them. So that's a 3, that's a 1, that's a 3, that's a 1, that's a 1, that's a 3, that's a 3, that's a 2, that's a 2. This is probably a something. That's a descriptive term. That's a 1, that's a 3, and that should be a 1. What a beautiful puzzle. Let's see. Oh, no solution, but it is correct. Well, it's correct as far as Sudoku is concerned. 1,000 people have solved this. Oh, do I like the puzzle? Very much so. That's absolutely beautiful. Really, really good puzzle. Yeah, and I'd be interested to hear from especially anybody who's relatively new to Variant Sudoku or new to the channel. Did you have a go? And was this all obvious? I don't know. I mean, now obviously all these years hence, it feels obvious to me, but that's the nature of learning, isn't it? And I'm quite sure that when I first came across magic squares, some of those ideas would not have been obvious. So it's a bit of a treat to revisit it feels like revisiting an old friend. So thank you very much to Willpower. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.